Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece episode 844. And to be honest with you, I really don't see this being an extremely long review, but I decided to just kind of do this. I decided to do this review today because there are definitely some a couple things here and there I can definitely talk about. So I initially went into this episode thinking I wasn't going to get much, but I got a little more than what I expected. But anyway, let's get into it. So to start off with, I will say the pacing in this episode wasn't terrible, but neither was it the greatest. And it's not even technically the anime's fault because the moment I stopped watching the episode, I did a double check on all the anime only scenes that were pretty much added into this episode. And to be honest with you, if you guys check it out, you'd be surprised how very little was actually added to the episode. And even the stuff that was added, it didn't really affect the overall pace. So yeah, just like with the manga, we're basically gonna be here a while, guys. It isn't like any kind of bad pacing. Any kind of bad, again, I know I keep repeating myself on this, but any kind of bad pacing that the anime is going to have from this point on is pretty much you can kind of thank Oda on this. Like Whole Cake Island was kind of one of those arcs where in the latter half of the arc he basically in the latter half of the arc there were a lot of times where Oda was basically like, ooh, I can do this, or now that I'm here, I can do this. Like he was very much with this latter half of the arc. It always did feel like Oda was kind of experimenting a lot with what he could what he could do and what he could reveal in terms of story. So yeah, it's one of those things where unfortunately the anime is kind of the anime is gonna take some is gonna have a lot of subplots and whatnot in it. But I guess it will still go faster for you in the manga. But yeah, it's just know it's basically you're gonna have the same kind of definitely a similar feel basically in the chapters you read. Now, one thing I will say I kind of enjoy is that we get a setup of Struzan being knocked unconscious or into a coma, and the Big Mom trying to find a way in order to relieve Big Mom of her hunger pangs, which just in the way this episode played out does say to us that Sanji's role in this arc isn't done yet. Although I will say that this whole new subplot with the cake is, again, it is one of those things that is gonna bog the pacing down even more in the future. As like I said, this was definitely an arc where Oda was experimenting, but in this particular case, in terms of this whole cake subplot, I will say that there is going to be one interesting thing about it, which is that I will say there's going to be one interesting element to this, which is that it is going to what we are going to get out of this cake subplot is that it is going to is that you're going to get a full showcase of how Sanji's cooking skills have improved over the last 3 years. And I know that might not seem like much, but trust me, this is actually one of those rare times where the anime actually does take a very intriguing route, but by pretty much actually showcasing just how useful the whole thing of Sanji being a chef actually is to the story. It's actually an interesting, and it is actually a very interesting plot, very interesting use of the fact that Sanji is a chef for sure. So yeah, and it's funny. I go straight to feeling sorry for Caesar to now feeling sorry for King Bomb. Seriously, I'm starting to think the Straw Hats, especially Nami, have a thing about taking people hostage. And in this instance, it's even crueler because they basically cock-blocked King Bomb. I'm I'm not even joking with you guys. If you really look at that one scene of King Bomb, of King Bomb, he was pretty much flirting with that. I think it was the female tree. The Straw Hats pretty much just cock blocked the dude. Seriously, that's what they fucking did. And like, seriously, all King Bomb was trying to do was plant some roots with his sweetheart, and then along comes the Straw Hats. It's actually kind of sad, and hell, and honestly, like I blame as much as I do love Nami as a character, I pretty much blame her for pretty much all I pretty much blame her completely for pretty much Big Mom's current for pretty much Big Bomb's for pretty much Bomb's current situation, because I mean, what can you say? She's pretty much blackmails him with the Viva card. It's kind of that's a low blow, Nami. And hell, even Pedro agrees with me by saying, and hell, even Pedro agrees with me by telling Nami she's pretty much terrible. And again, I like Nami, but it's in those instances where I'm like, Nami, fuck you, just leave the guy alone. um, yeah, and also I will say this to the anime's credit of this episode. The one thing I will say, the one thing that they kind of saved the episode for me from being a complete waste of time was the anime only scene of Germa fighting the Big Mom pirates in their base, as it was a legitimately entertaining scene, and I'm as far as fight scenes lately, I'm always open to the whole idea of the big of any kind of fight that pretty much showcases Germa's skills. Like, honestly, honestly, if anything, I feel that I feel that actually kind of adds to the One Piece experience. As to me, I will admit I was never really able to get into the I was never really able to get into the into the Germa in the latter half of this arc in the manga, but here it is a little more welcome. I'll say that much. And that last scene of that last scene of Katakuri entering onto the Straw Hat ship. Yeah, that again, we are basically nearing a point where we are going to see some a pretty epic fight between him and Luffy, and that's like the starting point of it. It's just a matter of when it gets there, I guess. But yeah, guys, that's really all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.